gonna fuck up your whole like your strategy. Because here's what happens. Let's say if you take a trade and you lose the trade, right? And let's say you're doing let's say you're only trading fake outs, right? And you lose a trade. Now, when you lose a trade, you get mad. You're like, oh man, fuck this. Why did I lose a trade? So now you try to revenge that trade, right? So now when you try to revenge that trade with something else, what's happening? You are not letting your probability play out, because now you're moving from a fake out to something else. So now your probability of having a loss greatly increases. Rather than waiting for another fake out in the next day, you're going to start to force another trade just to make up for that loss. And that's the wrong mindset to start with. Makes sense? So whenever I lose a trade, like sometimes you guys would see me on Twitch, I would take a trade, I would lose it, and then I would take the same setup again, and then I would win it with more pips. That's just because, if I lose it, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, like I would take a trade every day. Like this type of trade, I'll take it all day. If it's a loss, that's okay, because the next time it's going to be a win. And then you change strategies from jump. Yeah, exactly. And then what happens is you jump from one mentor to another mentor. Because trust me, I've only had one mentor, and that's been Ted. And we have worked together for the past 3 years in trying to simplify trading for not even ourselves, but for people who come to us to learn. Right? So that's the thing. That also goes with discipline too. Like if you only stick with just one method, it will work in the long term. Right? But you just cannot let your emotions come in between it. You cannot let your greed come in between it. Even guys who start small accounts, let's say someone starts with a $200 account or a $500 account, like in the start you won't see the money come in, but your main focus should be on getting and securing wins. Because if you can secure wins on a $500 account, then slowly that over maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 months, that 500 can grow to a $2,000 or $3,000. Because guys, trust me, when you start making $100 a week, that $100 a week turns to $300 a week real quick, and that $300 turns to $500, and then $1,000 a week really fast, right? And once you get to $1,000 a week, man, I remember like when I started making $1,000 a week, in maybe a month and a half, that 1,000 it came to 3,500 a week. How do you handle all the money? Give it to my wife. She doesn't spend it. She keeps it. That's what I do. Yeah. So it's just about staying consistent, staying consistent with what you know, and really understand that this is all what it's going to take. My first mentor was Invictus FX. Invictus FX first mentor was me. He joined me first. It's all about possibilities, as you say. Let's say Ted, he is doing very well, and I think he has below average losses. It's because he is very, very, very good at reading candles. Do you know his key? What I noticed on Twitch speaks a lot of big time frames, the weekly and a daily. Yeah. So basically, Ted, what he does is he's basically going to say that, okay, let's say that the daily candles have formed like this, and then current daily candle is forming kind of like this. So he's going to say, okay, well, since the daily candles are bullish, there's still room to go up on the daily candles, right? So let's say this room to go up is 40 pips. So then what he's going to do is he's going to go to the 15-minute time frame, and he's going to look to see if it's starting to make supports, just like what we looked at here in examples. Because if price is starting to make supports on the 15 and the 30-minute, then we can say, okay, if there's a 40 pip range, I can cash like 25 to 30 pips out of it. That's it. See, so it's not that hard. Raja, off-topic question: IC markets or traders domain? Well, if you can go with IC markets, go with IC markets. If you can go with traders domain, you can go with them too. Like I've been with IC markets. IC markets stopped operating in Canada, so I had to go to traders domain. So that's why I'm with traders domain, because IC markets stopped working here, and my friend had a brokerage, which is Ted, so I joined him. So basically, he's doing the same, sir. Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's doing the very same because that's how you trade, right? You figure out how far price can move, and then you enter based on that movement. That's it. You just look at if there's enough room for price to go in that direction, and then you go with it. Maybe that comes with, like, let's say if price is consolidating, you wait for a breakout, or let's say if a breakout doesn't work and if you're looking for fake outs, then you can work with that too, right? But it's very important that for the first week and a half, you guys just watch the market and see how price is forming on your pair, right? So we're going to talk about let's see here. What's this? Demand range. Is there enough room? The trend, the time, one strat. What? Oh yeah. Is there enough room? How's the trend? How's the time? One strategy. I've made like 15 pages of notes. Oh god damn. But there is doing so. Oh, this is okay. But trade is doing so much money. He starts a big amount, or how does all the money come? Stupid but interesting question. Man, the money comes with you compounding. Like, when someone starts a business, I'll give you an example. When we came to Canada, my dad, like, we have a family leather business, right? So when we started, we opened our first store here in Toronto, and our first retail store here, I think the whole year, our sales were $11,000. The full year sale. The business made $11,000 the first year, right? Our rent for the whole year was around $24,000. So we were in negative the first year. The second year was better. The third year was better. Now, last year was our ninth year. And in ninth year, we did around, I'd say, like $280,000 sales this ninth year, right? So when I started Forex, I wanted to make money quickly, So in the first year, I lost a lot of money. And then I realized, man, hey, wait a minute. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like, this is just like a business. Like, it's going to take time. It's going to take time to run things up, but slowly and surely it worked. Like, Berner is a really good example. Like, he has an account running on Traders Domain. I think he's up 700% in like, what, 2 months, almost 2 months. So trading, man, you got to give it time. You got to give it time. People start with $500 or $200. You got to go slow. You gotta get confident in winning trades, because once you get confident in winning trades, then you can start risking more because you've seen the things happen over and over again. Raja, I hope it's not too personal question, but where did you get 100K for your first account? No, I never had 100K. I started with $700 and I ran that up to 5,500 in the first 2 weeks when I joined TED, and then I lost it all. And then I deposited $10,000, and then I lost it in the next month. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I can trade now. And then I started on demo. On demo, I ran $1,000 up to 50K in a week. So I was like, okay, perfect. So I deposited $20,000 more, and then obviously I had the mindset of demo. So I deposited $20,000. I lost that in 3 weeks, and and then I started losing money. So I almost lost all my savings, and then I realized, okay, you know what? This is just I just gotta relax. I talked to Ted, and Ted's like, hey man, like, how to trade. You just gotta just take it slow. Just take it slow. That's when I was looking at my trades, on my losing trades, and that's when Wicks Don't Lie was born, because I was looking at the charts and I was looking at the wicks, and I'm like, wait a minute, these fucking 4-hour wicks, they get filled when prices in momentum. And that's when I started to realize, okay, you know what? This happens systematically when there's momentum in the market. So I started to look back. I'm like, okay, like, you know what? There's momentum in the market when there's New York session. There's momentum. So if I can only trade New York session, if I can only trade 4-hour wick fills or the 1 hour, I can probably get better. And then that's it. That was the start of making trading simple day after day. Where you had most, yeah, my most of my losses came from over trading and over risking. That's it. Chasing losses was like, you know, you take a loss, you take another trade, you take another loss, you take another trade, and then you take a trade and you remove your stop loss. What's going to happen? You're going to blow your account, or you're going to lose big time. So how much do you make around at the moment in a month? Well, it 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 varies. You know, like some months when I'm really busy, like this month I was busy with prepping for mentorships. I think with trading I did around maybe $7,000, but it depends from like month to month. Like I try to make my bills first. Once my bills are made, and then the rest is just on top of that. All right. Let's go towards trading plan. Yeah, man. All your losses are going to come from over trading and over risking. That's it. There's no other reason you will have losses. Trust me. You guys can write this down, and I'm going to ask you this in 2 weeks. Okay, so let's go towards trading plan. All right. So this is what your trading plan should consist of, right? The first thing you should have in your trading plan is what pairs are you going to trade, right? You can start with USD/JPY, you can start with GBP/JPY, like Euro/JPY, you can start with gold, like whatever. But you need to choose your pair, what pair you're going to trade, right? That's the most important, and you have to stick to that pair. Because, man, currency pairs are like women, right? You need to spend a lot of time with one of them to really get to know them. And once you get to know them, they get really easy to deal with. Make sense? So you need to focus on a pair. You recommend one only? Well, you can use two. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here are somewhat experienced. So I would say, yeah, you can choose two as well, but I would recommend just one pair. Because in the start, when we started trading, I was, yeah, three pairs, that's too much, man. GJ, EJ, USD CAD, that's just too much. You got to choose one pair. Because when I first started trading, I started with we started with USD CAD. We traded in groups. Like when we started, because our group was maybe 30 people, and we only traded one pair USD CAD. And then we slowly switched to USD/JPY, and we started trading USD/JPY. And then we started to look at gold, and then we started to trade gold. I'll give an example. I recently started trading GBP CAD, but before trading GBP CAD, I sat and watched GBP CAD for a month in New York session. I just watched it move. I just watched it do its thing at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I just watched it. And to me, it was like, oh man, this moves a lot. Maybe one day I can catch a trade on it. And then, you know, after a month, I think I had enough experience in it. So then I started to trade GBP CAD. What pair do you recommend, or just a decision to make? What pair you recommend to trade at the beginning of advantage? I think USD/JPY is good. Euro/JPY is good. They move pretty clean. GJ, there's a lot of uncertainty with GJ, you know, with Brexit and all that. And sometimes GJ can really, you know, run around with a dildo in its hand. So, I mean, GJ could get pretty messy. But USD/JPY, I think it's really good. Euro/JPY and USD CAD is really good too. Gold is really harsh to trade. I agree with that. I stopped trading gold. That's why I stopped trading gold. Ted only trades gold. He's been trading it for like years, you know. So I can't trade gold. Maybe because I haven't watched it enough. So okay, what time to trade? This is also very, very important, that you should really know what time you should be trading, right? What time you should be trading. So UJ, EJ, USD CAD. No, choose one pair, man. One pair, Tim. One pair. Remember, you're in it for the long term. You're not in it to make money in the next month. In it for the long term. Because if you look at all the successful traders, what you will read about them is that they only trade one instrument, which means they only trade, let's say, either oil, they only trade GBP/USD, or they only trade, let's say, something like gold, right? And they're really good at it. So you got to be really good at what you do. Because if you focus on more than two pairs, you're going to be average. you're not going to be good. And you want to be the best at your pair. You want to be the kind of person who someone goes to and says, hey man, this guy is a master on Euro JPY. Let me ask him what's happening. Like Burner, man. Burner trades this retarded pair called Euro AUD, you know? Euro AUD, like never even in my dreams I would have thought I'd be trading Euro AUD, but he's been trading that for a long time. Yeah, you know, he's been trading for a long time. So whenever I want to trade Euro AUD, I message him. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this pair? Or where do you think it's going to go? Because he has that down, right? Which is best to start with? It's up to you. It's up to you what you think is best to start with. It's up to you. Which one has treated you the best? You choose that one. And then you just focus on mastering that one. It's going to take you a long time, but you have to keep at it, man. Remember, Rolls Royce is built in 6 months. You want a Civic? A Civic can be built in 6 hours. Yeah, EJ in Asian, yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so that's so everyone who's new, I expect you to come up with a trading plan, which would have your pair, which would have the time you want to trade. It would have your risk per day. Risk per day means, like, let's say if you're starting with $1,000, you should know that your time is between 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is perfectly fine. Risk per day means that you should know exactly how much you are willing to lose in that day. Right? If you start with $1,000, you should know how much you're willing to lose. Are you willing to lose $50 that day? Like, your risk is $50. Let's say if you hit your risk, if you lost $50, that's it. You're done for the day. That's what happens when you trade with the banks, or when you trade in hedge funds, right? They give you a percentage. Recommended percentage is what you are willing to lose, right? Let's say if you're a rich guy and you have $10,000, right? But only deposit money that you are willing to lose, that you're okay to lose that, because there's a big chance you're going to lose that, right? Because the one thing is, you have to maintain your risk. Like, let's say on $1,000, 2% risk is $20. So if you're willing to risk 2% a day, that's fine. But let's say if you're willing to risk $100 on $1,000, that's 10%, right? So you only have 10 chances with 10% risk. Make sense? So you really need to come up with what risk you would want to take. Raja, when it comes to risk per day, if you risk 2% per trade and you're only allowing yourself to take 2 losses that session, your daily risk would be 4%? Yes, it would be 4%. You're right. For example, 4% risk is including commission or without. It's just what you're willing to lose with trades, because commission is like a drop in a bucket in the overall, spectrum. Can I make risk prepaid to per what? Per day to per trade? Yeah, you can do that too. Like normally I risk per trade. Like every trade I take, I'll probably put on 2% risk. So if I lose one trade, that's 2% gone. So basically I'm working with maybe 4 to 5% risk per day, but everyone is different. Everyone is different. Before coming up with your risks, I would say that aim to be confident in taking trades, right? That's what you want to be. You want to be confident in taking winning trades. And then you can increase your risk or decrease your risk based on how your discipline is, right? Because if your discipline is bad, your risk, even if your risk is 1%, man, with bad discipline, that 1% is going to add up if you keep taking trades after trades after trades. Yeah. Next, take profit and stop loss. I'm not sure why I have this here, but take profit and stop loss, like, it's like the same thing, like stop loss, like you should know your risk, and take profit, you should always know when to take your profits and when to let positions run. It's very important. There's a, if someone doesn't have access to the Forex Family platform, I'm gonna give you access later on today. There's a trading plan folder on the platform that I think some of you guys will find really, really helpful when you try to make your trading plan. So I would really encourage everyone to give that a quick read. Those are 2 documents there. Okay, keeping track and growth. In the Google Drive, we have this document. This document is your, it's a customized table for growth, right? This is going to track your growth and how you're going to, like, focus on the long term. The drive for the material and FX family will be handled later. Yes, Alejandro. So since you were late, I'm probably going to add you there, like in maybe tonight, because I'm going to take a break after this webinar. But by tomorrow, you're going to have all the access by tomorrow. So what's happening here is now, think about it. If you are only working on 3% a day, right? You start with $1,000. Now look on the long term, right? Look on the long term. Look in 30 days. In 30 days, it's grown to 2,500, right? It didn't happen in a week. It didn't happen in 2 weeks. It happened in 4 weeks, right? In 4 weeks. Same thing here. If you start with 5% growth, which is very, very, very aggressive, in 33 days, it grew to 4,700. Now, 10% growth a day, this is never, like, just disregard this. I don't know why they even put it on. Just regard this. This is unrealistic. It's possible, but it's very, very unrealistic. Like, you need to be very disciplined to get there. The recommendation that tech to go to, that's any help. Yeah, so so I would say start with 2 to 3% and just see how disciplined you are. Because discipline is the only thing that's going to stand between you and the dreams you have with Forex. Trust me on that. Because it takes time. Also important question, when we start growing our accounts, what percentage of profits for the week you should suggest withdrawing? So this question, I would go back to the first slide we had in the morning. I would say that start withdrawing something that can pay for your little bill or something like that, right? I always say that. Like, let's say if you have a $500 account and in a month you grew 500 to, let's say, 650, I would say, hey, even maybe withdraw like $50 and, take your someone out for coffee or something like that and say, okay, you know what, this is from Forex. I'm treating myself with at least something. Because the worst thing is when you start growing your account, you don't withdraw, then one day, God forbid, you lose it. So it's very important to keep on withdrawing at least something so that it's real. Because, money in the trading account feels different when it's in your hand. You guys agree with that? Like, let's say $1,000 in a trading account seems very, very low when you have $1,000 in your hand or in your bank. It has a different feel to it. On this customized table, yeah, so it's in the Google Drive. You can find it there, and in the Google Drive, yeah, you can customize this too. You feel detached from the money when it's on the screen. Yeah, exactly. You feel detached from it. Because once you lose $100 or $200 on your trading, you're like, you know what, I'll make it back. But if you lose 100, 200 in real life, you lose like 2 bills, you're losing your mind. You're like, oh man, I lost $200. So you got to keep track of your growth. But first of all, you got to keep track of yourself when you're trading. Trust me, the biggest enemy you have in trading is yourself. If you cannot stop yourself from over trading, trading isn't for you. So you need to figure out a way that when you take a loss, how you react to that loss. My first step is the only reason I started to do Twitch streams was that if I know that if I can take a loss, I can you know, tell it to everybody. Hey man, I took a loss and now I'm just gonna call it a day. But there are people who take losses silently. You know, they just stay quiet, they take losses silently, they don't tell nobody, and that's where they go in big problems, man. Big problems. Because then after a month they message someone, hey man, I lost my account, I don't know what to do, you know. So when you take a loss, just tell the group. You know, go in the group chat, just say, hey guys, I took a loss, this is a trade I take. Like, how could I have taken the better trade? Simple. Just own up to it. Take care, Tim. Take care, Tim. Yeah, you know, so that's because the big thing is when people take wins, they tell it to everybody, hey man, we took a win. But when they take losses, they don't tell people. You know, so you gotta tell at least your group. You gotta be honest with yourself. When you take a loss, tell the group you took a loss. Because when you tell a group you took a loss, that's gonna keep you from over trading. That's gonna keep you from chasing that loss. Trust me. Because you know, guys are gonna message you, hey man, did you chase that loss? And then you'll say, yeah, I did, and then you're gonna start getting roasting. You know, guys are gonna start to roast you, and that's good. Yeah, no problem, Ricardo. So yeah, so we're gonna move on to the next section here. Question time. I'm pretty sure I answered a lot of questions along the way, but still, you know, the slide was pretty important with Dwight on it. So Raja, you want to do trade? How do you start? Which factors you see first? How do you go on that? Okay. How do you go on? How do you go on factors? Okay. Well, first of all, you see if price is consolidating or not. You know, if price is consolidating, you wait for a breakout. You wait for a breakout. That's it. Once you have a breakout, you look left to see if there is enough range to fill. And then you execute based on that. So, oh shit, okay. So realistic percentage goal is never more than 5% a day. Like I've heard you guys say, if you hit your weekly goal, go out and have fun. But what would the weekly goal? Well, weekly goal depends on you, right? It depends on your expectations and what you really want. So I mean, if daily, if you're aiming for 2% and you hit 5%, well, that means you can take the next day pretty easy because now you've made 2 days worth of gains in one day, right? So that's totally up to you how you manage that. Okay. Oh man, so many questions coming up. Hold on. Do you have a weekly, daily, monthly target? Yeah, my weekly target is around 10 to 15%. That's my weekly target because I gotta go slow, you know. So weekly target is 10 to 15% because the bank only gives 1.3% a year, you know. What time frame would you check when you open your chart fresh and start drawing support resistance? Good question. I would look at the 4 hour. I'll start with the 4 hour and daily. I'll start with the 4 hour support resistance and the daily support resistance. 25% per month is realistic. Well, 25% a month. Okay, let's do some quick math here. Let's see here. So we got 25% a month. So 25 divided by 4. What is that? 25 divided by 4 is, let's say, 6.13%. Right? So now you're saying 6.13% per week. Okay? So now 6.13 divided by 5. It's going to be 1.05% per day. See what I did here? We broke down your 25% per month goal into daily goal. So now your daily goal is 1%, 1.05% if you want to get to 25% per month. Hey Raja, doesn't know if you already answered the question. When do we get access to the simulation so we can practice? I'm gonna give out the codes on Monday. Monday, I'm gonna give the codes out. So Monday sometime, you know, during the day, you're gonna get I'm gonna start asking people. So check your emails. I'm gonna send out emails with the codes. Would you suggest us getting into account management once we become consistent? No. Well, that's totally up to you, you know, because it's another thing to trade your money and it's a whole other thing to trade someone else's money. Trust me. Uh, simulation is simulation is like practicing, you know, it's like practicing on the account. Simulation is like when you practice on the account. So it's like simulation trading, just like you have a flight simulator when you learn to fly, just like when you learn to trade, so you can simulate uh, previous charts. So that's about it. Oh man, we've been on here for a while. 9:30, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, almost 5.5 hours. No, 6, 7, 6.5, 7 hours. All right. Perfect. Yeah, it's a full day shift. Full day shift, man. In this time, I've taken a total 10-minute break. 10-minute break. Holy, I can't believe it. I made it. But yeah, man, like I was really excited for this webinar. You know, like I did. There was no slacking around. None of that. So I hope everyone found this useful. The recording is going to be in the Forex Family platform in a couple of hours because this is going to be a pretty big file here. So we're going to get that done later. How can I send some food as an appreciation? You can send it in the mail. Send some sweets. Send some sweets. Mithaiyan, you know, send some mithaiyan. Mithai are good. All right, guys. Have a good day. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow in New York session. Take care, everybody. Oh, the WhatsApp group is there to say. That's going to be our main communication channel. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.